Today we are going to tile my kitchen. I'm in my kitchen, which is my favorite room in the whole house, because here I can do this. But also because I think this is the best looking room in the whole house, including the rooms that are already upgraded. I love our dining table, which is made of reclaimed timber. I like the big mirror on the wall. I like the big doors, the big windows, the dark countertops, the color of the kitchen, which is sort of a very dark green. But really, what I like most of all is that we spend most of our time with our family in here, cooking, eating, having fun, dancing. I spend a lot of time with my daughter over here when I'm not working, and that's why I think this space has a special place in my heart. However, not everything in here is perfect, and like with any space, things can be much improved. And this is why in this series I'm upgrading my kitchen. In the last video you saw me add lighting under this cabinet, which was retrofitted to the kitchen, but this was just the beginning. We still have loads to do. In this video we are going to do tiling, but in the following videos we are also going to do paneling, and we're going to do painting and God knows what else. So stay tuned for those. First, let me tell you why we are doing tiling today. So originally we wanted to add some tiles to the kitchen right on this wall to protect from splashback. So all the oil, all the grease that goes to the back when we are cooking, it was really hard to clean, and when we did clean it, you could see some of the paint actually coming out. So it was really hard to maintain. Similarly, right over on this side, here when you would see water splashing back from washing the dishes and all that, it would have a very similar problem. So about 2 years ago now, we decided to hire a contractor and do the tiling on that back wall and just a little bit on that side wall to solve these two problems. However, at the time we didn't have enough budget to do the entire kitchen, and this is always what we wanted to do, because right now it looks quite awkward. You've got this wall at the back which is tiled, it's nice and tidy, but then on the sides there's nothing over here, and then there's nothing on this side either. And that gives us a whole new problem, because if you take a closer look, you can see loads of damage on these walls already, like here, marks and scuffs everywhere, because obviously this is a kitchen we use all the time and you get this kind of damage. Right here you can see a little hint for the next video, so you let me know which ones you prefer the most. Over on the other side you have the similar problem, marks and scuffs everywhere. It doesn't look very nice. Of course, this time there isn't going to be any contractors, it's going to be just you and me tiling those walls. We are going to be starting on this side, and step number 1, we need to move all of these things, clear the space so we can actually do the work. And step number 2 is to unscrew the socket right here, because there's space behind it and we want to use that space to hide the tiles, because as you would imagine we'll need to cut the tiles around the socket, and what you don't want is to see those cuts on the tile. You want to hide them as much as you can, and there's about ½ centimeter of space behind the socket that you can use to do exactly that, and it's gonna look very tidy. The socket is out. One thing I forgot to mention is to not forget to switch your electricity off. It's not entirely dangerous if you don't remove the whole socket and you just remove it a little bit like I did, but still I think it's best, it's the safest to switch electricity off. If you have a switch that goes to the sockets, do just that one and then you're ready to go. Now the next step is going to be to protect the surfaces here a little bit. This step is not strictly necessary. You can do, there's nothing you can't clean. You can clean all of it, but I think it's a little bit better and faster if you just protect the surface beforehand. At this stage, before we start mixing adhesive, and start tiling, it's usually a good idea to understand the pattern you want to use. Now in my case, the pattern is already well defined over here. It's your usual brick pattern, but if you are doing that or anything more complicated, you can use a pencil and you can use one of your tiles to actually make markings on the area you want to tile to give yourself a visual, and also it will give you an idea of whether you need to do some special cuts right from the beginning. Now in my case, the only thing I need to worry about is not to end up with a tiny little sliver on the sides. Right? And the way I'm going to do that is by measuring the entire distance I have here. So let's see. So this is 191, 192, 192 centimeters, and I know that my tile is 24 and there's 3 millimeters for the space between the tiles. So I have 24 centimeters and 3 millimeters, and then I have 192. And if I convert all of that in millimeters, that will be 1920 millimeters divided by 243 millimeters, and it's 7.9 tiles. So the last tile is going to be almost used in its entirety, so I'm not going to end up with any slivers, which means that I can start this very first line with a full tile. If I had ended up with something like 8.01 or 8.1, maybe I would be skeptical, and instead of starting my first line with a full length tile, I would cut that tile in the middle, for example, start with that, which means that in the end I wouldn't end up with a tiny little sliver. Okay, I moved quite a few tiles over here, so I don't have to go grab them every time, and a few tile spacers. These are 3mm tile spacers, so I try to match the existing tiling. And now we're pretty much ready to go. The only thing I need to do is to go outside and mix some adhesive. I've done my adhesive, ready to go. There's a couple of things you need to remember at this stage. One, you don't need to mix your own adhesive. You can buy ready-made adhesive, but it's quite a lot more expensive, and that's why I've mixed my own. It's not too much effort, but you can get it all over the place. So I think it's always cleaner if you get the ready-made one. It's just a little bit more expensive. The other thing you need to remember is the size of your adhesive trowel. Now, you need to do your research because this is dependent on the size of your tile. So I've done the research for mine. I don't remember what size I got, but it's suitable for the size of tile that I have, because remember, this controls how big or how small the ridges of your adhesive are once you put it on the wall. And that's the other thing you need to remember, how you put the adhesive on the wall. Now, you can do it whichever way. You can either do it vertically or you can do it horizontally. However, that is going to dictate how you place the tile on the wall, because you need to wiggle the tile and break those ridges, flatten them, so you get perfect coverage of the back of your tile. And one last thing, depending on the size of your tile, you might need to back batter. What does that mean? So you put the tile adhesive on the wall, that's all good. However, if your tile is big, then you might need to put adhesive on the back of the tile as well. My tiles are not that big, so I'm not going to do that. It's going to save me a lot of time. I'll just put adhesive on the wall, put the tile on, wiggle it in place, make sure it gets really good coverage, and that will be that. And now I think we are ready to start. Now it's time to install the very first tile. And this one goes at the bottom. As I said, you need to wiggle. And we need to use tile spacers on this side, like that. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Get good coverage. Use spacer like that. Okay, now I need a piece right over here, which is 22 bar 3 for the spacer. So I'll call it 21 and a half. So I can leave a little bit of space on the other side as well. 21 and a half. Right here. Now we can cut it now, towel cutter, and right about there. Okay, so press hard, scratch it. Oop, let me just place that again. Press hard, scratch it. And then a firm push. Let's give it a bit of a try. Yeah, that's fine. Back butter this one. There we go. A couple of spacers. Right there. Push it down a bit. There we go. That's first line done. Now this one around the socket is going to be a little bit harder. Need to be a bit more careful with it. So we have around, well, not around, we need to be quite precise. We have 18, 19 and a half until this screw right here. So that's 19 and a half. And then we have 3 millimeters for the spacer. So that's 19.2. Let's see. 4 would be too much. 3.5. But we need 3 millimeters for the spacer as well. So that's 3.2 at the bottom. So match tile right here. This piece is the one we don't need, so this is gonna go under the socket. This is gonna go on the right hand side of the socket. And if I measure that correctly, we will see in about 2 seconds. Okay, let's see if that's good fit before we back butter it and put it on. No, I think that needs just a tiny bit more, about 3 millimeters on the side. And just try that again. Okay, another test. Yeah, I think this time is fine. What I need to do is clear this because it is now gone, stale. I'm gonna back butter the tile instead, but apart from that, I think it's good to go. Yeah, this should be fine. That's enough, and now we can place it. Now, on the left-hand side of the socket, I need to do something very similar. I've marked it, so at the bottom we need about 3.2 centimeters, and then on the side it was, just to remind myself, it was about 9, just before 9. So I'm gonna go and cut this. I'll be back in a second. Let's give this a try. Ooh, that's not good. I think I cut it 3 ml more than I should have on this side. Okay, yeah, that was I wasn't measuring error. At the bottom is fine, but once you put the spacer, then the space on the left is just too big, way too big. So I've gone 6 ml on that side. I should have gone 3 ml in, but I've gone 3 ml out. Okay, let me just fix that.
A few moments later.
Okay, look, this is absolutely fine. No gaps over on this side. I think we're fine. I kind of feel like I could probably clean that at the bottom a bit. I think the socket wants to go slightly lower. So I'm gonna clean it up at the bottom and then back butter. And we should be good to go. Now we just need the last piece on this line. So we have 9.5 and we need to remove 3 millimeters. So I've got this piece that I've got wrong before, I'm gonna use it. Now back to the right hand side. I think I'm gonna focus on the area here before continuing under there, because there's lots of pieces under this cabinet here. I don't want to put that adhesive on and then I'm gonna have the same thing I've had before. I'm gonna have to clear it off because I'm a little bit too slow. So let's focus on the area here and then we can continue. This is where I'm up to so far. So I've got 2 lines fully finished, right, beginning to end. Then I have 3 more, which are up to here. And the third one and the fourth one, they do go under this cabinet just a little bit. So I realized it was a major mistake before in the way I've done the adhesive. Well, not major, but it was a little bit too thin and it wasn't helping me at all. It was really hard to pin up the wall. It was really messy. So now I made it again. And I've changed the consistency quite a lot, so this is now a lot better. I feel like this is going to be easier to work with. I'm going to continue on the right hand side here all the way up just to finish this bit, and then we're gonna come and do all the little pieces underneath, around the socket and under the cabinet to finish things off.
One eternity later.
Okay, so that little bit now is done, at least for the tiles. I had put the adhesive a little bit too high, which meant I had to clean it really well. Look at the mess right there. The paint came off because I was cleaning it so well, but that's all good because, as we mentioned earlier, the walls are going to be painted at a later stage, so that's fine. I just didn't want there to be a lot of residue from the adhesive because that would be really hard to get out. But other than that, look, it's alright. It's not bad for this stage. So on this side, the only thing that's remaining are the little pieces underneath here. Just grab the camera, show you up close. So there we go, there's 2 more rows that we need to do underneath, lots of pieces. Yeah, let's get to it. And just as I started cutting the very first piece, for right under here, my angle grinder ran out of battery. So I need to charge that. In the meantime, I think what I'm gonna do is start cleaning. I can remove all the spacers. So the adhesive was a fast setting adhesive, so it should be absolutely fine now to remove all the spacers and clean these tiles really well, make them ready for the grout, by which time my angle grinding battery should be alright and we should continue with the rest of the tiles. Okay, cleaning done, even this little bit, look, and everything underneath is also very nice and clean. The only thing that's remaining is these pieces over here. I've cut them all already. Look, this is the one that's gonna go above the socket, and this little ones are gonna go at the very top row because there's only about this much. About 3.5 centimeters that we need to cover up there. I've got ready-made grout, thank God, because it's late and I don't want to mix things and my neighbors are gonna hate me. I was cutting tile already late on Sunday, which I should be doing, but hey, gotta finish this. So I'm glad my grout is mixed, ready to go. White grout, same as the other side. Let's do this. Here's a quick look, but only a quick one. I'm not gonna do final review until I finish the other side, and I'm gonna get to that in about a week in my time, but for you guys it's only gonna be a second. And I'm back, ready to start work on the other side of the kitchen. However, I have some bad news. Remember how I said I bought myself ready mixed grout and I was very happy with it? Well, this is what happened about an hour after the application. Look at all these holes. Look at all these cracks. They are everywhere. A lot of you might say it's my fault, might have been too much water, too much moisture, too much water on my sponge. I don't know. I don't think that was the case. I don't think there was much water at all on my sponge. I think I followed the instructions exactly. So I went on the internet to look at the reviews. The reviews are actually quite positive overall. However, that's because you can use the same thing as a tile adhesive and a grout. So most people are using it as a tile adhesive, which works absolutely fine. However, if you look closely at the people who actually used it as a grout, you can see they've posted pictures. They had very, very similar problems. And it's a lot of people having the exact same problem as myself. Whose fault is it and why it's happening? Not really the issue. I don't want to spend time thinking about that. So what I did do is get myself a proper grout for this side of the wall, which I'm gonna mix myself, and hopefully that's gonna be absolutely fine. And over on that side, you can actually see it if you're like a step back, so it's not the most annoying thing in the world. But I think this probably is an opportunity for me to make another video and show people how you can regrout your tiles. So we'll need to take most of that grout out and do it again to get rid of all the holes. It's not gonna be easy, it's going to take a lot of time, it's going to be painful, but I think I'll have to do it. The other thing I changed since the last time is my adhesive. So I mentioned it previously, I was using a fast set adhesive. However, that gave me quite a few problems. It's warm in the house, so it was setting really fast. And I mean really fast. It was like 10 minutes, which wouldn't give me the time to cut the tiles. So by the time I cut the piece, for example, I would come back, the adhesive was already too dry, and I didn't want to risk putting the tile on because it wouldn't stick. So I had to clear it off, and then I had to basically back batten my tiles, put them back on, which was a big pain. So what I did this time, I bought myself a non-fast setting adhesive, so a normal adhesive with a much larger pot time. So hopefully I won't have that problem anymore. I will be able to stick it on the wall, cut my pieces, put the tiles on, and it should still be absolutely fine to accept the tile. But we'll see how it works out in practice. I'm sure for a seasoned professional, the fast setting adhesive is absolutely fine because you're fast enough to go and cut your pieces, come back, put this all in. However, I'm not that, so I'm buying a product which will hopefully work better for me. Now, over on this side of the kitchen, the most important thing to note is the window. And I'm gonna use the window as a center point. So I'm going to start from the window, from the left-hand side, and go to the left. And then I'm gonna start from the right-hand side and go to the right, instead of starting from the beginning of the wall, because I want the tile to look like it starts from the center of the wall, which is the window. Now, it's not actually the center if you look at the wall, but it's the center piece, sort of. So that's what you see when you look at this wall. So I want the tiles to come out on both sides of the window. The other thing you might note is there's already tile right under there, here. I actually covered it, but you can barely see it right over here. So this is what the contractor did a couple of years ago, including the back wall of the kitchen, because there was splash from the sink over here. Now, when he did that, he actually cut the tiles to end exactly with the sill on both sides, which means this is not the full length of the tile. I have made the decision not to remove it, so what I'm gonna do is essentially stick the next tile right next to it. And it's going to look a little bit ugly because obviously this is a cut tile, so it might show a little bit, but this is much better than trying to remove this and put a whole tile in, because in my efforts to remove it, I'll probably destroy the wall, destroy the kitchen, and spend a week here, and I don't want to do that. I think this is going to be absolutely fine. Now, at this point, there's one more thing I want you to know. So, usually, you would see people use trims versus corners, such as this one, because I'm gonna do the inside of the window as well, up to here. But I don't want to do that, and the reason is that I've got one good side on my tiles, which is here. So this side is blue. The reason people usually use trims is because the sides look like this, which is ugly, and you want to hide that, but also to protect the tile. I don't want to do that. I like the look of this, because it's blue and white, which is what my kitchen tile is. So what I'm going to do is install the tiles like this and cover this side. So this side is going to be visible, and I think that's going to be nice and beautiful. I'm not worried about damaging them. There's nothing going on this side that would damage the tile. So I'm quite happy with that. And if it turns out to be bad, I can always get some sort of trim and stick it on top later on, but I don't think there's gonna be any issue at all. Right, over on this side, I have 4 more rows, and well, 2 are gonna look like this one. So I need 1 whole piece, 1 sliver at the end, and then the other 2 are gonna look like this one. So 2 sort of pieces that I need to cut. So I think what I'm gonna do is cut the pieces, prepare myself, and then come back and apply the adhesive and install them. Alright, now I'm moving on to this side of the window. I've already cut all the pieces. Look, this one is the one at the bottom. And then I have all the other ones aligning over on this side and coming just right to cover this side of the wall as well. So this side is visible to me. That side is done, and now I'm moving over on this side, right hand side of the window. So this holes, there was a shelf here before. We're gonna patch them up with the tile. I'm not gonna fix them beforehand. Some people might not like that, but I don't care. I'm not gonna waste my time. There's no point in doing it. The tile is gonna stick just fine. So I'm just gonna cover it with a tile. And this one over here, I'm gonna fix later on when we paint the walls. Let's go. All done on this side, except inside of the window. I've cut all the pieces once again, same sizes as before really. So now I need to put the adhesive on the wall and install the pieces. And the last one goes in. 24 hours have passed, and look at this. They're nice and stuck on the wall, which is always a good thing. So the adhesive is fully dry. We should be ready to go and start doing the grout. So I've cleaned everything. I've removed all the spacers. I've cleaned all the spaces between the tiles. Everything is nice and ready to go. The only thing I have to do, mix some grout. Not using ready-made one again, I'm gonna mix some grout now and we can begin. I think I'm gonna split this into two areas of focus. I'll probably start on the far side over here first and then make my way slowly over on this side. Let's do it. Okay, got a little bit of water in my bucket. Nice and white, you can tell, it's too dark, but it's white, trust me. And I think that looks very nice. A lot of cleaning and a few days later, this side is finally done. And the big question is, did I mess up the grout again? And the answer is no, it's perfect. Look. No issues at all. No cracks, no holes, nothing. It's exactly as it's supposed to be everywhere. And the other big question is, did I mess up the corner on the window? And the answer is yes, I have. So I told you at the beginning I wasn't gonna use a trim here because the tile is actually colored on this side. So I was hoping it's gonna be actually quite nice, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's alright, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it can be better. And that's why I'm going to install this trim on top to tidy it up. So let's do that. Let's install the trim and also use the sealant in a few places when it's a little bit rough on the edges, in the corners, just to finish it off. And then I'm going to talk to you about what I've learned from this exercise, this job. And at the end, I think I'm gonna show you the final result before finishing off this video. I hate the sealant. I cannot figure out how to do it. It's all over the place every single time. That little bit there in the corner that I just did under the window, yes, it took me like half an hour trying again and again, and sort of worked. But then I started doing the other corner, like up here, and I just can't figure it out. I don't know what's going on. So I applied the sealant, I used soapy water, I tried to clean it up. It's just, it's not working out. It's very ugly. I don't understand. I might need a different like sealant applicator or something like that, because all I'm using is like one of those sticks from ice cream. It doesn't seem to be working very well. I don't know what's going on. It's like I have to do it, I must do it. It's not absolutely necessary. It looks just fine. But I would like to do it, and I think I'm gonna give it another go, but maybe it's not gonna be in this video. I'm not sure, because I need to go get a sealant applicator to try with that. But overall, I don't understand. If you guys have any tips, just let me know, please, in the comments below. I think what I'm gonna do now is put the shelf that was over here back on, return everything back to the kitchen, because there's a mess over there. I had to move all of our things. And I might return to the sealant later, maybe not today, I don't know. I can't take this anymore. So let's do the shelf behind me. And there you go. The shelf is back in. I am pretty much done with the tiling, but there's a lot more still to come in this kitchen. We still need to do siliconing, we are still going to do paneling, we are still going to do painting, so this is far from over. But let me show you where did it get to so far. Did you like that? I love it. I think the tiles look absolutely amazing. They've completely changed the look of the kitchen, on this side at least. But as I said before, there's still a lot more to come. I've learned a few lessons along the way. This wasn't easy. First of all, I still hate siliconing. I have no clue how to do it, but I'm gonna learn. 2. Do not get fast set adhesive for your tiles if you are not fast enough to actually put your tiles on the wall and cut all the pieces, because you're gonna have a nightmare. 3. Don't get ready mixed grout. You're going to end up with holes and cracks and it's not gonna look very nice. Get powder, mix it yourself, it's not that difficult. 4. Cutting disc for your angle grinder in order to cut the tiles perfectly. I don't think mine was quite new, and I think it left marks on some of the tiles, which you can't quite see, but I know they're there. Those are kind of the most important lessons I've learned in this one, but I'm sure there's a lot more learning to do as I go. So, thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. Take care.